How do you prepare over the course of the next 8 games just to make sure that you are where you want to be postseason ready, going quickly?
You're right. Yeah, it's gonna be here before we know it. I think it's nothing too new that I'm going to be working on. I was really happy to be able to get into the games each of the last 3 nights, so it's kind of getting used to how the playoffs. There's really not too many off days, so I think like last year, it was a little bit more common for me to go 2-3 nights in a row. So being able to do that, like I just did the past couple of nights, I think that'll be helpful. So I think you'll probably see maybe one more little stretch like that. But I'm sure everybody will be rested and ready to go.
What are the conversations like for you guys in that bullpen as you have just 8 games remaining, but knowing that there's a much bigger picture right around the corner?
Yeah, I think this is obviously what we've been working towards. The conversations, it's really, it's just a little bit of the fine tuning. I think everybody's starting to feel really healthy. It's been so great to get Baez and Joe back. Obviously, they both look great. Losing Ferg is really tough. So we're going to all have to step up to keep this thing going. But I think overall, everybody's feeling really strong. We've had to do some bullpen days this past week, but the way that we're set up in our bullpen, I think we can certainly handle it. And, if we're asked to do anything like that in the playoffs, we'll be ready. But otherwise, just a little bit of fine tuning and just, really, really ready for it to start.
Thank you.
Next question is from David Vassay. Go ahead.
Adam, have you and your teammates had the discussions about going into the bubble, and how do you feel about that for the postseason?
I think we're just going to embrace it. I don't think it's going to be too big of a deal to handle. Once you set up all the logistics to make sure that your family is taken care of, and all those things that we handle outside of baseball. Once we're in there, I think it's just going to kind of be business as usual. It'll kind of just be like you're on a road trip just for an extended period of time. But I'm sure it'll be a good setup, and as far as the schedule, it shouldn't be too hard to get used to. So I really don't think it'll be too big of a deal. And honestly, I think once you're in it, it'll take a day or two, but we'll get used to it, and it'll probably run really smoothly.
Adam, you were talking about those bullpen games. It's still somewhat of a foreign concept to fans that watch these games. Can you explain how relievers get ready for that? Do you know when you're coming in? What's the vibe in the bullpen when it's going to be that type of game?
We definitely have really good communication between, especially Mark and then Bard in the bullpen. For example, when we did it in San Diego, they gave me a good heads up that, I should be ready early. So I knew there was a good chance I was going to follow Gratterall. So just little communication things like that go a long way, especially when you're used to coming in 6th, 7th, 8th inning. And then we did a bullpen day on a day game. So that kind of adds just to, bumping up your mental and physical preparation for the game. So, I was stretching already in the 1st inning, and then I think I came in the 2nd. So, you get ready that way. And, for me, I went through it a little bit, in Tampa, so it's not too new for me. But I think, like I was saying, the way our staff as a whole, if you want to include, the possibility of D-May or Tony, they're used to coming out of the bullpen a little bit. So however it's going to be handled in playoffs, I think we certainly have the arms to make it hard on any team we face, because, that's the beauty of it. Like last night, the Rockies, hitters really never faced the same guy twice. So that's a really hard task for any lineup, especially one that, can be as dangerous as Colorado's. They can never get comfortable in there with looking at the same type of pitcher. They're going to see 3, 4, 5 different kind of arms for their night.
Thanks for that explanation. Appreciate it.
You got it.
Next question is from Ari Castillo. Go ahead.
Hey, Adam, there was a point here before the craziness of 2020 that the 3-batter rule was like the craziest thing baseball was going to do this year. Obviously, it's not the case, but I'm just wondering, what impact has that had on games? Do you feel that, is it the impact as you expected? Is it different? What do you think?
So far, I think it's been what I expected. Like I've said before, I was never just a one batter guy in Tampa. So for me, facing multiple hitters is nothing new. I think, like I said before as well, just the one thing that it changes is being available every single night. So, last night was my third night in a row pitching, but I think that's the first time I've done that this year. I think that may be the first time someone in our bullpen has done it this year. So I think that's just the main difference. So, you have to, it's obviously that's where a lot of the strategy comes in that, that we have to handle as far as, who's available that night to pitch. And, in the playoffs that might come into play just because there's not a ton of off days, during the series.
Thank you.
Next question is from JP Hornstruck. Go ahead, JP.
Hey, Adam, you mentioned how you pitched the second inning in one of those bullpen games. And I think it was the first game in San Diego where Dave mentioned to us that you might get the ninth inning depending on how the matchups lined up in that game. I'm wondering if there's something specific that you think makes you a more versatile pitcher than you were a year ago, or if the Dodgers just changed their approach.
I think you're just seeing a little bit what can happen when you have bullpen games. We would, I think, a guy like Gratterall could easily throw the ninth inning, but he's going to throw the first sometimes. I think that's what makes us a dangerous team because we're, we've bought into this type of strategy and we've bought into it where, you're going to be just as prepared in the second inning as you will in the ninth. And I think that goes a long way just mentally when you try to prepare, and you don't let the moment get too big. Because it's just if you have 3 outs to get, it shouldn't matter if it's the ninth inning or if it's the second inning. So I think that's something that I've learned along the way, and I feel comfortable whether it's the second or the ninth. So it's I can see from a fan perspective how ninth innings always appear to be more stressful or more important. But I think as a player, it's important to realize that your job is the same. No matter what inning or situation you come into.
You alluded to the similarity to Tampa Bay. Do you like the predictability of knowing you're going to face, like, say, Juan Soto every game, or is this kind of more fun for you?
I think it's kind of this. It's not as different as it seems because, the way lineups are often, you as a reliever, you look at the lineups every day before the game starts, and I know where my little lane of a lineup I'll come in. So, for example, with Colorado, normally they'll bat, Tapia towards the top and then Blackman not too far. So I'll probably be in that range. And, in San Diego, just a few days ago, we kind of have a similar idea where their lefties are, and sometimes they'll be somewhat bunched up or go every other. So I know that that's probably where I'll jump in as far as coming into a game. So, it's a little easier when it's just, one guy, like how last year was in the playoffs for me, as far as just, all but guaranteed to know that I was going to face, just him. But it'll still be similar this year. If, the opportunity comes up again, it'll just include a few more batters.
Well, thank you, Adam.
Next question is from Kerry Osborne. Go ahead, Kerry.
Adam, how often do you know that you're going to pitch that day before the game, and then how does that and how often are you like pitching on a whim?
I think the way to go about it, and the way we go about it here, is we just have the mentality that you are going to pitch that night, because you can't just flip it on. You can't think that you're going to be down and have a day to recuperate or anything like that, and then try to turn it on in the seventh inning and get ready really fast to come in for a situation with runners on. So I think, as a whole, we try to just take that approach because it just helps you stay ready, and that way you're not caught off guard, if you do get in the game. So it's just easier to go about it that way.
It's not that often that you have this many guys in a bullpen excelling. How much of that is a credit to game planning and strategy?
Oh, it's huge. I think what we do so well here is every pitcher knows who they are. And what I mean by that is, they don't try to do something that, they've never done before, or that they don't feel confident in. I'm not going to go out there and all of a sudden, try to throw a bunch of sliders to right-handed hitters. I'm not going to try to throw a bunch of changeups to left-handed hitters. I have my specific plan of attack, and it gives you a lot of confidence knowing that all the research and all the work that the coaches especially put in to giving us our game plans. It's not just made up numbers. They do all the work, and when you have that kind of input, you feel really confident going into your matchups because you can't just be out there on the mound without a game plan and just hope that it works. We have a specific way we want to go about things, and that confidence allows you just to pitch freely and to pitch very very confidently.
Got time for one more. Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, Adam, yesterday I asked Doc if, given the successes that you've had this season under the 3-batter rule, if he would consider having you go multiple innings. And he said that you've always been a lefty specialist, and that under the new rules, you're already getting more innings. With the increased number of bullpen games, would you like to go more innings than just one or just to 2 or 3 batters or 3-batter rule?
That's a good question. I don't think, what a player wants is necessarily the most important thing. For me, I enjoy being available every single night. That's why last year when I became a Dodger and started really just coming in for one batter at times, it's just exciting. You know that there's most likely runners on base. You're most likely facing the best left-handed hitter in their lineup. So, that part of just the competitiveness, is really exciting. So I enjoy that aspect of it. I wouldn't say that I necessarily feel the need to throw multiple innings or show that I can be a long reliever of sorts. For me, I like being available every night because, that's just something that, I enjoy as a competitor.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks, everybody.